Shout out right off the bat to our friends over at the Hockey Shop, Source for Sports. HockeyShop.com, Source for Sports Langley, rocking it right now. We'll get into our gear segment in just a little bit with Cam and Woody, but they have everything happening over at the Hockey Shop. It's InGoal Radio, the podcast. Darren Millard along with Kevin Woodley and David Hutchison, and we are excited about TendyFest that's coming up, just getting some details on that, and an opportunity to win some gear. And that gets my attention right away. I know there's other stuff to discuss, but we got free gear available. What's the detail?
You can't win, Darren. Darren, you can't win this one. Sorry, buddy.
Okay, let's move on.
Woody can't win. I can't win.
We're gonna like draw to be like, why are there 6,000 entries from Marin Dillard?
Yes. Hey, dude, on the subject of that, do you remember the lottery that was drawn in BC for, I can't remember which charity it was, but it was on TV, and the person that was announcing the draw said the name wrong, and it ended up being one of the sports anchor that was on the air at the same time, Barry DeLay, and it ended up him winning it, but the person that was announcing it was saying the name wrong.
Okay, but also
it's exactly what you just painted out with me, so it can happen.
But I can also see why somebody would be confused, and we're going deep into the weeds on local sports knowledge here in Vancouver. Barry DeLay has actually won one of those like prize home lotteries. He's actually
that's what I'm talking about.
Woody.
But he's,
wake up, Woody. That's what he's talking about, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, but they announced it wrong, and it was Barry.
Oh, it was Barry, but the person pronounced his name wrong, and he's like, I entered that. Is it Barry DeLay? How do you spell that? And they did it, and he's like, that's me.
Oh my goodness. See, so I didn't know that part of the story. I thought you went the other way.
So it can't happen.
I ruined the story.
Barry DeLay.
You know what? Sam Bennett was cruising through the crease last night. I'm just not all there. I apologize.
I've got a
Hey,
thought
but folks, Marin Dillard cannot win the EFlex 7 gear that InGoal magazine is giving away, but you, the listener, can win it. So here's what you got to do. If you would like a set of EFlex 7 gloves and pads, full custom, if you're an adult and you can fit it, if you're not and it's for your kid, we'll get you something off the rack. We're giving it away on June the 13th. All you have to do is head over to ingoalmag.com, click that link up at the top to go check out the Coach's Guide, that magazine-style flip book. Go find the ad for the EFlex 7 and click on it. And you can do it every day from now until June 13th. We want you to flip through that Coach's Guide because there's 150 some odd schools in there. We're now close to 170 in the online directory if you want to go check that out too. Find the goalie coach that you'd love to work with this summer, this winter. Dream about a vacation maybe up to Alaska or to the Midwest or to the East Coast of Canada. Find a goalie coach you'd love to work with in that guide. Send them a note. Tell them you found out about them through ingoalmag.com, and then go see that ad for the CCM EFlex 7 gear. Click on it and enter for your chance to win a custom set of EFlex 7.
I'm an Axis guy, but I could switch to EFlex 7 if I want.
Marin, you're not going to win. Sorry, buddy.
Better
Sorry,
sooner
buddy.
than Fred Flintstone. Wait till Fred Flintstone wins.
Okay. You can't enter either, Barney Rubble up there.
Listen. Folks should be entering this one. We've had the EFlex 7. We've teased it with the customizer. You can see the customizer review at ingoalmag.com. You can go sort of check out some of the new features. Even though it doesn't launch for another month and a bit yet, there are a lot of the glove, the improvements in the 580 carries through all the lines on custom. If you still want 590 and 600, all the changes that they made to this 580 apply to them. The finger stalls are back. The closure is better. The pocket is deeper. There's a floating tee available. Tons of great features. So we can't wait to highlight that over the coming weeks. Make sure you check out our customizer overview with a lot of those details, cross-glide technology and how it's going to help you slide faster, and then go over and enter at the goalie school. Make sure you get in on that, because not only is it always exciting when we're giving away gear, but I think a lot of people should be excited about what's new, what's changed, what's evolved in the new CCM EFlex 7 line.
And when it comes to checking out the new year, TendyFest just around the corner. It snuck up on me.
June 14th. And
June
a
the 14th.
chance, like, they've also got they got like a VIP contest. Now,
12 kids.
Can I enter that?
if you come
Probably.
to TendyFest,
Maybe.
meeting you might become part of the VIP. Everybody wants,
That's true.
a chance to be on the ice with a guy who faces NHL shooters. Tips, advice, lessons from Darren Millard. I sense a theme here. So you're more than welcome to come, Darren, but other people can win the VIP access. TendyFest is busy, right? It's a fantastic time. No better time to try out all the new gear from all the companies. Everybody is there, full sets of equipment, but the reality is there's a ton of goalies that want there. VIP gets you early access to your own ice time. Chance to get in there before everyone, get your sizes, get your gear, get on the ice, and test it out. Sort of like an exclusive tour. The kind of red carpet that we normally reserve only for Darren Millard when he shows up is now available to everyone else through the VIP contest. So check them out at all their socials over the Hockey Shop, Facebook, their website, hockeyshop.com. They've got links to help you not only find out more information about TendyFest on June 14th, all the hours, all the extra things they've got going around it, but a chance to win VIP access as well.
Is that like a Disney Fast Pass? Is that what
Yeah,
we're
I guess it kind of is. Well, the Fast Pass lets you go to the front of the line all day long. This is just right at the beginning of the session.
Is there
But
going to
there's
be
no height limit.
Same
I was just going to say,
Or
is there?
height
You must be this.
No height
Must be
restriction.
this tall to wear these pads.
You have to be taller than the pads to wear them. That's all.
I can't wait. And it'll depend on playoff activity and who's left and whether the team that I cover and work for is still playing. But if not, I might just make an appointment to pop up there, hang out with you guys. It's been a couple of years since I've been able to get to TendyFest. One of the coolest experiences of my goaltending life was attending TendyFest. And that's not hyperbole. It's just such a wonderful gathering of like-minded people, and we're all nerding out at the same time.
And folks, Darren's not putting this on. Because before we came on to do the show, he showed us his latest item that he'd grabbed off of eBay because he is a collector of goalie memorabilia. Maybe it's not memorabilia, but goalie gear. He's such a geek. What'd you get, Darren?
I bought an SK2000, the old Cooper helmet.
Yeah.
Because I want to grab an HM30, the cat eye cage, because I'm curious. I want to relive some of my roots. I'm not going to go out with the NHL guys with it. I'm not
Crazy.
goofy. But I want to see how different the sight lines are between the masks that we wear and the old HM30 cat eye cage. I'm just
We got to
curious.
connect
And
you with.
I just want to wear the helmet again for some goofy reason.
We got to connect you with it's Cooper Goalie on socials. Have you seen him? He's got all these custom setups to be tributes for all sorts of old school
Yes,
goalies.
So cool.
Yeah, you guys got to have a chat someday.
I would love to get that person on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Give Darren a shout. Send us a note. Podcast at InGoalMag.com.
And we love hearing from people, don't we? Like every time we throw that out there,
Share
we
them
get
around.
so many responses. And at some point, we're going to do an episode of just purely questions from the InGoal audience.
Yeah.
I would like to do
Ooh.
that.
The only
Do a
comment.
little live hit podcast, maybe.
In the crease, we'll call that the segment, the feature interview in the crease.
That could be good. That could be really good. I will say we do love to hear from you. There's one that Woody's a little sensitive on that he's been hearing. I think maybe people are trying to do it on purpose now in the comment sections on YouTube. The old comments are really starting to hurt my feelings. I'm soft.
I checked them out. There aren't that many of those comments. You really are soft.
Everyone stings. I know I'm old. Please stop telling me how old I am.
That's okay. I was in the store the other day and it was one of those self-checkouts, and the lady behind the other counter came running out to key in her code in my self-checkout so I could get the seniors discount. So don't talk to me about things hurting.
I've been offered the senior discount there's something about arts and crafts stores. It was one of our they offered me. Now I think it might have been 55 plus, so I wasn't quite as offended as you should be, but yeah, it's tough.
I don't know what the age was.
If you want to give me senior discount on golf or groceries or gas, sign me up. I don't care whether I am that old or whether people are thinking that I'm that old. I'll take it.
That's the approach we need.
Cam needs to give us the senior discount over at the hockey shop.
There you go.
The secret, by the way, to not being talked about as old is work with people noticeably older than you.
Is that why Darren's on the podcast?
That's the secret. That's why I work with John Shannon on 100% Hockey. I'll always be able to be the young one on it. So Hutch and I are the old guys. Hutch, you and I are the same age, aren't we?
I think I'm a little older than you. I'm 66. I mean,
Okay,
my birth
then you're
year.
older.
Not my age.
Like, holy smokes.
He
aged fast.
Well, you know what, though? You're getting closer to that matching up.
I am.
I think
Woody, it's nice to be the young kids in the room.
Most people would.
And I'm only about 40 years from being able to shoot my age on the golf course.
Most people would assume Darren's the young guy. I got to say, like, probably growing a Snow White beard wasn't the way to go if I wanted to be passed off as younger than I am. So maybe we're going to have to shave.
The feeling of being young is attainable by using Visual Edge over at thevisualedge.com. And they just do such a wonderful job. And we've got our ProReads this week.
Yeah, they are the sponsor of our ProReads. And speaking of still a lot younger than us, but wise beyond his years, this week's episode of ProReads presented by Visual Edge is Alex Lyon. And I wanted to get this early in the podcast this week to sort of shout out Alex Lyon and thank him for the openness. This is the last one that we have from our nearly hour-long sit-down last summer. And it is just another example of the way he thinks the game being such a separator. And not everybody would be as open and willing to share it the way he did with us. And so his pro reads have been exceptional, and that continues this week. He's got a shooter pass decision in front of him, and he is sort of not late, but there's like 2 slot line passes, so back in one direction and then an option for that guy to go back the other way. And as he arrives on the first guy, it's not just about handedness and all the things that we get every week from ProReads, how to sort of assess the situation and who's most dangerous. He gets into the psychology of it, the psychology of who that pass option is on the other side and why that matters, at least at the NHL level. The psychology of how open that guy is and what handed and why that matters. The psychology of baiting the guy who catches the first pass and has to make that pass or shoot option, and how presenting square with your upper body versus maybe flattening out with your lower body can cause that guy to make a pass rather than shoot. And so Alex has been so good at all those elements. It is a can't miss episode of ProReads this week, already up and up all week at InGoalMag.com. Go check it out. And of course, Alex sees the game so well. Our friends at Visual Edge want to help you see the puck, and that is convergence as it comes at you, training your eyes to converge properly, and see the game, which is divergence, the ability to sort of pull away from a something close and see a bigger picture in front of you. Just 2 of the elements that they train over at Visual Edge. It is a simple online cognitive and visual training tool. You get a set of glasses, you get their program, you take an edge test to understand where your deficiencies lie, and then they give you a program that will help you continue to improve and work on your strengths, but vastly improve your deficiencies. We've heard from Lions teammate Cam Talbot how much of a difference it's made later in his career, finding pucks through screens. He thinks it's a big part of the reason he is an all-star in the NHL, 3 times in his last 5 years after not being in his first 7 in the NHL. So great tool, and you get a discount thanks to InGoal and the partnership we have with ProReads and Visual Edge. InGoal gets you a discount of $5 a month. If you want the membership only discount, which is much bigger on their monthly subscriptions, head to the ProReads, watch a ProReads, any one in the last couple of months. It will unlock. You will see the discount code you can use to get Visual Ed. So thank you to Alex Lyon, first and foremost, for being so open with these ProReads. And if you're an InGoal subscriber, you can go back now and watch all of them, like all 9 of them. Go watch them in a loop. There's so much great advice in there. We keep the archives open for everyone. There's over 300 of these videos up there that will help you learn to read and process the game better. And thanks to Visual Edge for being a sponsor of ProReads.
It's one of the greatest parts of InGoalMag.com is ProReads that you will not find anywhere else. That kind of real-time analysis from National Hockey League and professional goaltenders walking you through the same situations that you experience in your games. It's priceless, really. Calvin Pickard, just a little bit of a stick tap to him. And I don't know where this leads. I've got a bit of an issue with how the Oilers are handling it, which I'll touch on in a second. But Calvin Pickard and the Edmonton Oilers just made history by winning 5 straight games by come-from-behind fashion. And Pickard is the goaltender that has the Oilers leading in the second round.
Great story. Great story. And as people know, because it was about this time last year that the Oilers were in the second round here in Vancouver instead of Vegas. And Calvin was the backup at the time. He actually ended up getting into the series a few days later, but he sat down with us and did a podcast. He was a featured guest. So we got into some of the things that have evolved in his game to sort of get him back to the National Hockey League level. This is a guy who had some success early in Colorado, spent a lot of time in the American League. He may not look like everybody else. He's 6'1". He plays a lot more flow and feel in his game. He is not what you would call a technician, and yet he's done work to add, some tactical and technical elements to stabilize his foundation. Oilers are playing fantastic in front of him for whatever reason. They tend to perform, and it was regular season and playoffs as well so far since he's been in. The defensive game that got them to the Stanley Cup final last year just seems to be there more often when he's in net. I think that speaks to, he talked with us last year about the role and the job and being good at what you have to do to be good at it. And, clearly this is a team that likes to play hard for Calvin Pickard. And that's not a fluke. That's not a coincidence. I can look at the numbers and they tell me what's happening. I can't say why. And I do believe it's how much he's liked in that room because of how hard he works for them, whether it's in practice or in games. They may not all be pretty, man, but that guy battles all the time. Reminds me a little bit of Tim Thomas in terms of it doesn't always look the same as what's become the quote-unquote prototypical modern goaltender. I'm going to use the line, look like a goalie. But the battle level, right? We used to talk about Tim Thomas's battle fly. And listen, Tim Thomas won 2 Vezina trophies, won the Stanley Cup. I'm not trying to draw a straight line there, but 2 guys that later in their career get an opportunity and made sure they're ready for it. So good for Calvin Pickard. Let's see where this goes. It's a great story right now. And my line when it comes to people always ask me, covering the league for 25 years, what's your favorite team? I always say, I do not cheer for a team. I cheer for good people and good stories, and Calvin Pickard checks off both boxes.
Okay, here's my issue. And I'm a fan of Chris Knobloch. But at the outset of the second round series between Edmonton and Vegas, Knobloch was asked about Pickard and Skinner. And was he thinking about or had he considered putting Skinner back in? And his response was, we're going to need him at some point, whether it's game 2, game 4, I'm paraphrasing, game 4, game 6, or the next round. We're going to need Stewart. So be ready. And the thing that jumped out to me was,
why?
Calvin Pickard sitting there going, I just won 4 in a row. Why are we talking about we're eventually going to need the other guy? I understand what Knobloch was saying. I do. It just, Rub me.
I was watching the Leaf game the other night, and I think it was the ESPN crew, and I forget who it was who said this, but said I think it might have been Bissonnette, said the same thing about Joseph Woll, though. He actually said, I think that the Leafs are going to need him at some point, no matter what. And so I'm actually, and this speaks to the unfortunate situation that happened to Anthony Stolarz. He said, in a way, with all due respect to the injury, and I'm sad that it happened, I'm glad that Joseph Woll has gotten into the game so he gets a little experience because he will be needed at some point in the series. So I don't know that that's speaking to an individual goaltender there more than just the concept that we've said many times before. You need two guys to win.
So I hear Darren's comment. Absolutely. Like I like that.
Yeah.
It goes in the back of my head too. But to Hutch's point, yes. I know they're actually not talking about it in these terms. I actually wish they were talking about it in these terms. And it's not a Calvin Pickard disrespect thing. It's we're going to need both guys because neither one of these guys has gone on a stretch like this before. Like Calvin Pickard hasn't, you'd have to look it up for me, Darren, but when was the last time, he played 20 games in a row every second night, which is what would be required.
Or won 5 games in a row.
And so you recognize, and Anthony Stolarz, right? Like he was their guy, and I think they would have ridden him till the wheels come off, if not because that's the nature of Craig Berube, and he's been very open about wanting a distinct number one goaltender, but that's never been his thing, right? Like if we are going to tandems in the regular season, why would we expect one of those guys, just because he's had more rest during the regular season with the tandem, to all of a sudden be capable of playing 25 games in a row every second night all the way to the Stanley Cup final? You haven't asked him to do it. And I would point to the Boston example, right? Like the year that Ullmark and Swayman went back and forth every game and set records as a team and as goaltenders, and Ullmark deservingly won the Vezina Trophy. And as much as he probably wanted the net as the Vezina Trophy winner, and I think there was an injury here that complicated factors in terms of his play. But by the time they've decided to go to Jeremy Swayman, he'd been sitting around for 10 days. And you'd lost all that sort of that rhythm of back and forth. And so, like, to me, that's actually an example of why you should, if you do a tandem during the year, you should find a way to do it during the season. And I understand it's really hard because if you, by choice rather than by injury, go to the other guy coming off a win, you are bulletin board material, you are leaving yourself open for second guessing, all those things. But at so many levels, it makes sense. So I'm going to give Knoblauch a pass, even though I think he was probably speaking more to what you're talking about, Darren, trying to keep Stu in the conversation and not be disrespectful to him. But I'm going to
But you're not saying that about Connor Hellebuck. Comrie, we're going to need two guys.
I'm going to pretend that the sentiment is more towards what I've been talking about for several years now.
Yeah, well, I'll be team fence sitter and go back now into Darren's side, because last year, Calvin Pickard got in, did well, and yet the narrative coming out from everybody was still, well, we're going to go back to Skinner because he's the guy that gives us the best chance to win. And at some point,
It
now
sure
that
makes
you've
for an
gone to
interesting
Calvin
decision.
it sure does. But now that he's had 5 games in a row here, you can't undermine what he is by allowing any of that to creep back in. So I think in this specific instance, you really need to be propping up a guy who's been on the bench most of the season. He's our guy. Let's go.
I mean, the difference last year is
I don't know
he
when
won
we'll
his
get
first one, lost his second one, and was out. This year with, you're right, 5 in a row. I'm hoping that the league.
But you
how
just can't
short
have it in
is
the back
the
of your
leash?
mind.
Yeah. It's probably 2 games, Darren. It's probably 2. And you know what? It probably depends on how the goals look.
Mhm.
And that's probably too short, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's that short. And I don't know, because again, this team battles for this guy. So, and Knoblauch said it between game 3 and 4, after going to Pickard in game 3 in the first round, between game 3 and 4, one of his quotes, and I'm paraphrasing now, but was basically, for whatever reason, this team defends better when Calvin Pickard's in net. The numbers back it. They've backed it in these playoffs, and you cannot win a Stanley Cup playing as loose as they did the first 2 games of the first round. They gave up more high danger chances and expected goals against in the series opener against the Kings, 14 and almost 5, than they did at any point of their run to the Stanley Cup final last year. You can't win that way. And if Calvin Pickard being in net is part of what needs to happen for you to get back to your defensive identity, regardless of why it happens, then to me, that makes that decision to go away from him even harder.
Another place where the numbers tell a real story is over at the Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Great selection, incredible price options, and expertise to deal with. And that is the site of our gear segment, Woody.
It is. We go back there again this week for the Warrior knee pads. We're just going to let Cam get into it right away. But the tease that I have here is these knee pads can actually make you taller in your butterfly. I didn't really realize it till we started to look at this new generation of Warrior knee pads. The second tease I will give you, because we know goalies. We know personally goalies that have followed our advice on this. Previous generations are now on sale. So we've had a lot of Warrior lately. They've got a whole line that they've launched, and they're ahead of the other companies. So this is what's fresh and what we can talk about right now. And we feel like we're a little Warrior heavy right now, but their stuff is on the shelves. And you know what else is on the shelves at the Hockey Shop? Massive discounts on the previous generations. So if you happen to be a massive fan of the old Warrior knee pads, and Cam's still got any left in stock, make sure you check it out. We know goalies that have bought the squared off pants, knowing that they're no longer going to be available now that they've got to the rounded sort of thigh guard on the pant. So if you happen to be a fan of previous generations of the knee pads, as you listen, as excited as we are about the new ones, this is your opportunity to save some money.
Exciting new changes to Warrior's already popular knee pads, plus a tip from Cam at the end on how best to wear them? Cool, we've got it all today here at the Hockey Shop, source for sports. We're in the goalie section with Cam, Goalie Utopia as I like to call it, with the new RX5 knee pad line. Cam.
RTL and Pro.
RTL and Pro. I've already had my complaints about the fact that the Pro is the lower price point than the RTL. I think I'm coming on board. You're getting me over on this, Warrior. You've continued it throughout the lines. I'm figuring it out. Why don't we go through the top end first?
Top end first.
That's the RTL, right?
So, overarching, 2 price points this year, not 4 like previous years.
Simplified. Much like we like you to simplify your game as a goaltender, Warrior has simplified their knee pad game.
They have. So the ever popular RX4 Pro Plus is now the RTL. Similar styling, double capped, hyper comp throughout the knee pad and that upper protection. That's going to give you that supreme level of protection. Nice, big, fat landing area. Very cushioned as well. One of the more comfortable knee pads in terms of for that drop impact.
Okay, so there are 2 parts to this. There is the cushioning in terms of support for the knee, but there is the thickness component. And while they may not discuss it, I will tell you this. It's going to make you taller in your butterfly if you have that much more padding under the knee. It's going to compress a little bit, but it's almost an inch thick. So 6'1" goalie wants to be 6'2" in the butterfly. This will help.
It's a great call out, actually. Again, so focused on the protection level aspect side. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about a way to improve your game.
Us slim goalies need all the help we can get.
So the way that knee pad works is a hinged design. So that when you do drop into that butterfly, that cap shifts in front of your knee to give you that level of protection. Warrior, on both price points, have included their extra additional guard as well. So that helps to give you some additional protection just in case that top cap does tend to slip.
Every once in a while, something sneaks through.
Exactly. I like how they've updated their Velcro. They've added a bigger patch at the bottom just to create a little bit more attachment.
More adjustability.
Exactly. Beyond that, we are talking again about a similar advancement of the knee pad, but this is one of those situations where it says, ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's update the materials, some better wear materials.
More durability. Like
exactly. And overall improvement on the fit with that easier adjustable Velcro.
Okay, now the Pro line.
Yes.
Again, this is the second price point, but it's called Pro.
Yes. So what's different? You're going to get a softer top, so you don't have that same hyper comp protection in the upper portion of the thigh. It's a little bit more flexible. You do have one pad that goes along the central part, but it's a little bit more flexible all the way around. So again, we have to separate the 2 price points.
In theory, a little less protective.
Correct. A little bit more lightweight.
I'm going to be honest. You're not taking a ton off up here.
No, but that would be a situation where you're getting caught leaning back and you opened up. That's where that comes into play. A little bit of double coverage with your pants. But in theory, pants are kind of somewhat covering this area.
A word of advice, goalies. Don't lean back and open up. It's not good goaltending.
You heard it here. Coach Kevin.
If anybody
Strikes
knows
again.
bad goaltending, it's Cam.
Oh, I know. I've watched you play.
Oh, good. That's good.
Okay. So single cap hypercomp still actually makes its return here. So you still get their like best, shock absorbing material, but it's a little bit thinner. So again, if you are looking for a little less protection per se.
I mean, listen, some guys have such wide butterflies, they never take a puck in the knees. Some guys, I know guys that played in the NHL without any knee pads. So this, as a thinner
Which is a
product,
wild thought.
it is wild, but that flexibility, that little bit less to this knee pad for guys that aren't comfortable having knee pads on their knees, that might be a little bit of a better option for them.
So you still get that similar style landing. It's not
quite as thick, not quite.
Not
You're gonna be a little shorter in your butterfly.
Exactly, and that cap that does come in front isn't as pronounced as well. So again, we're separating those two price points by a little bit.
So a little less protection,
Correct.
A little more flexibility, a little less sort of, not durability, but a little less protection, I guess.
Yes, that's probably the best way to call it. So like a slimmed down version of the RTL knee pad.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say senior, intermediate, and junior.
So 3 different sizes in both models or just this one?
Just the pro.
Okay. So the second price point, because obviously you're probably going to need that level of protection in a junior knee pad, but they're available.
Yes.
Even your little goalies. And actually, the butterfly isn't as wide, the protection, the knees are more exposed. Last thing you want is a young goalie getting scared of the puck because they take one off the knees. This is a great option.
Ever popular junior knee pad just for that ease of putting on. The fact that it stays up. That was great
stays
timing.
up on your knees better than it does on
the hanger. That was great timing.
That was my fault.
But now, should we tell them a little secret?
How to wear it?
Yeah, well, there's obviously a couple of different ways to wear it, but like wearing it on your knee is a good start. However, if you all of a sudden have a warrior pant in particular.
You said wearing it on your knee is a good start. I put it on my head.
If you notice, on the inside of the thigh, they have a lace tab.
Ooh.
See that?
Ooh.
So, if you wish, that coincides with the tab at the top of the knee pad. You can lace your knee pads into your pants if you wish.
Ooh.
However,
let me see.
Speaking of alternate ways, personally speaking, I like to run my knee pads independent, but this is now a big one, and the knee pad even physically calls it out in writing on the knee pad.
Oh, let me read. It's on the back here. To prevent abrasion, we recommend wearing socks or equivalent over your knee pads. I seem to recall a review on how to wear your knee pads by Cam. He's a sock guy. You can click the link and you'll be able to see that one. So Cam's secret sauce on how to wear socks over your knee pads is available to watch.
Secret sauce. Yeah, we'll call it that. So if you have any questions, give me a call.
Hold on. We need another video. These new Warrior pants. You may have noticed this. Cam pulled out and showed you the tab for the knee pads.
Yeah.
Rounded legs instead of the old flat front. If you haven't seen it already, over here. Over here.
Okay.
It's over here.
No. Okay.
Go check out the Warrior pant review. Now you can film.
Oh, now. Okay, good. 604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790. Talk about these knee pads. Talk about the old ones because we have some left on sale. It's always good to talk about those too as well.
Discounts, baby. Discounts.
Check them out at thehockeyshop.com.
Camouflage color, new graphics, and a simplified 2-model option. The 4 models from the past are on sale at thehockeyshop.com. Reach out to Cam. Get the best of both worlds here at the Hockey Shop.
Just on the intro, as you sent it over to you guys doing the gear segment, you talked about the pants with the squared off thigh. What model is that?
That was the RX4. No, it's all of the models of last year's generation. Yeah. So all the models had that, maybe not the kids ones, but they all had the squared off. So basically anything before this year, Darren. Like the new RX5 stuff is all rounded. Anything before this year, I believe, because I used the Warrior squared off pants, and that was like the first generation.
So RX4.
So I did believe all previous generations, if you can find them, you'll see them in the pictures.
I'm just asking for a friend.
Older ones.
Just asking for a friend.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, a friend who spends a lot of time on the hockeyshop.com and eBay.
Yeah.
Is his name Marin Dillard?
He does know him. He's a big fan of his. I have the Warrior knee pads, and I actually made an alteration to them because I was getting some bruising just on the inside of the knee. So I went to Lowe's or Home Depot and bought a little foam and sewed it in or attached it in, and I've used them for probably 6 years, and it's gold.
So where did you attach, like in terms of where the knee is landing? Or
Yeah,
were you getting
where the knee's landing.
Impact?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they're that. So the new one has, like, as we talked about, like, no exaggeration, you'll be taller on your knees because there's a full inch of pad in there. Obviously, it's going to wear down over time, and even as the game goes on, it'll compress.
So do I.
It's not going to be a full inch, but it's the thickest. It's the thickest we've seen out of all the knee pads, and we know goalies in the NHL who wear padded knee protection under their knee pads and do multiple layers of it because they know that it will be nice and cushy for their knee, but it also makes them taller on their knees in the butterfly, which will add coverage to the top of the net and widen out their butterfly. Just anatomically, the higher the knee is relative to the ankle, the easier it is to get internal rotation and wider flare. So those are some of the elements at play here when you talk about raising the gap between the knee stack you land on and your actual knee.
Okay, what kind of padding would they wear underneath the knee pad?
Like those old G-form knee pads for one.
Yeah, I'll go to an old example.
Or the Bauer undergarments.
Yeah, there are different options, but I'll go to an old example just because he's not in the league anymore. And this was in the American Hockey League during the lockout. The first time we discovered G-form. And now G-form at the time, Bauer then later bought the hockey rights, and then they've since moved away from it. But G-form was primarily like action sports touch, like motocross
like
and stuff like
whatever,
that.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the market. But Tim Thomas and Carey Price had been introduced to them, and they were using it underneath their knee garments. Now, it just softened the landing, provided an extra layer of protection. They are not the goalies that bulked up multiple layers to get bigger. But there was a goalie in the American Hockey League that was actually sampling and trying gear for us. Like, he was one of our testers while playing in the American League, and I'd introduced this to him. And he asked if he could get 3 sets because it is a thicker padding, and with 3 layers, like you're pretty close to adding an.
He was wearing them all.
Area. He was layering them. I'm not going to give the name, but he was layering them. And this was during the lockout when, remember, the Oilers had an absolute wagon of a team in the American League, like Taylor Hall, like Jordan Eberle. They were in the American League because of the lockout, and they came through town, and he had a really good game against them. And there were a couple where he said to me, he's like, man, he was going bar down, but it just cut a piece of my shoulder. I'm not sure I get that if it's not for the extra inch under my knees while I'm in the butterfly. And it's, so like, these are real things, man. These are real things. And I don't know if anybody's doing it to that degree anymore, but goalies understand. Goalies understand at that level how they can help themselves.
I'm sure we've seen guys with 2 sets of regular knee pads before as well, Woody, certainly in training.
Eddie Lack used to wear 2 sets.
That's who I was thinking, but I know there were others.
He's done. He'll let us tell the story. He used to wear one brand underneath another brand.
Yep.
And so that added to the thickness underneath and also added to the protection. He would wear 2 sets of knee pads. We've heard of triple jocks. Now you've heard of 2 sets of knee pads.
Does the NHL still inspect goalies? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know of it anymore.
I haven't asked goalies in a while. It
was always random.
Routine used to be, they always worried about going through Toronto, right? Because that's Kay's offices, and so he's there and he's local, but he's so busy with other things. I genuinely don't know. Listen, these little things, and we've talked about undergarments before. I know there's one brand, I'm not going to name the brand, but the shirt is so puffy. The material is not really any extra protection. It's not a fancy foam. It's just soft, soft foam. It doesn't really, but it definitely layers you up underneath your chest protector, which is inevitably going to make it present bigger. So we've talked about this in the past and something they may need to keep an eye on. Let's not start any type of debates. We see pucks going underneath goalies right now, through the 5-hole, through screens, not getting to the ice as fast. The job that Kay has done controlling goalie gear, and guys are starting to But compared to where we were, people forget where we were before. It is directly leading to goals. Like the pads don't get to the ice as fast. And yeah, we've seen some we'll talk about EFlex 7 and the them finally following the other brands with a calf pillow, which was illegal. And I think technically is still illegal in the rule box, but everybody has them. But those little things used to be done to the extreme to give goalies the advantage. And I think the way he's trimmed some things up, it leads directly to goals, especially along the ice in 5-hole. And so, yeah, this definitely is not we need to start policing it on a more regular basis conversation. I don't want to go there.
I don't mind seeing 5-hole goals come back. Again, that's
Lord knows I get. See, then I can, when I'm getting lit up 5-hole, I can be like, see, it happens in the NHL too, guys.
Totally. I feel that all the time.
Every time a puck goes in between somebody's legs, I'm like, hey, I'm just like an NHLer.
It's not just because we're the two young guys in this podcast. We have other reasons why we bond too.
They're also not automatically all bad goals, are they, Woody? Because you've got a good example from an NHL goalie coach.
You know exactly. You're setting me up for the rant, right?
I want the rant.
So here we go.
I agree with it.
Here's the rant, and it comes courtesy of Ian Clark. So this is a rant we've heard before. No goals through you, right? Like, so we hear that on the credit. Oh, that he'll want that one back. It went through him. He'll want that one back. It went under him. And Ian's counterpoint was, if we are always punishing goalies for pucks that go under them or through them, while at the same time trying to create patience on the edges and patience on the release, we are essentially reinforcing a down early blocking mindset and mandate. And so if we get mad at them when this goes in, they will start to go down earlier and make sure nothing goes through them. And it will be at the expense of their coverage on the perimeter of the net, their patience on their edges, their ability to react with their hands. And that is the opposite of what we want. So nothing through you becomes a cliche, but the truth is it's one that can do damage to a lot of goalies from developing right up to the National Hockey League. Because believe me, goalie coaches hear this when they go into the coach's office after a game. Oh, it went through them. Sometimes there has to be a little pushback there. I know Ian would never hesitate to push back and understand that we are trying to encourage patience and perimeter protection of the net, and that getting mad when the odd ones, we got to live with the odd 5-hole goal if we want to be able to protect the top corners on a consistent basis. There's my rant.
Thank you, sir.
Whenever I get scored on 5-hole during practice, I'll say, who shoots there? That's my excuse. Who shoots there?
That's my line every time somebody has a 2-on-0 and they don't pass and they shoot and they beat me because I'm anticipating pass. I'm like, as they skate up the ice celebrating like Tiger Williams, I'm just like, who shoots on a 2-on-0, you jerk?
Nick Waugh shoots 5-hole all the time. The Golden Knights all the time. I'm like, really? You have to do that? You have to be that guy?
I want you mic'd up for a practice. I want to hear full Darren on the ice.
Really?
I'd love to hear you mic'd up in a practice. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chirping for me. Stop It Goaltending You, the app parent segment this week. Coming with some heat.
The heat, I don't know, but I have one that is going to set you boys up to get a little upset. We'll see what happens. But what's happening over at Stop It You, Woody?
Well, in addition to the usual stuff, right? Like we've talked a lot about all the advice and help they have for you on a weekly basis. You know, the quick primers, minute and a half videos usually from Brian DeCord, and this week's are, and talk about emotional control and how to use the words I am. So you get one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just quick little hits to help you get the right mindset, become a better goaltender. Their power pep tune this week is Thatcher Demsko. So highlights of him. And then also a drill of the week on a drive and pass out option. So you can watch that, take that onto the ice with you. But I wanted to mention, because this week's, they've got a video walking through the CHL NCAA rule changes and how it can affect goalies. And it was a great reminder to me that there is an option in the Stop It Goaltending You app. It's not included at the base level, but you can upgrade to their premium level of coverage, or coverage is probably the wrong word, of access, and you will get access to their advising. They actually have an advising staff to help you get to the next level, whether that is using their stats programs to find accurate comparables for you as a goaltender. So based on your results so far, where do you think you could play, whether that's into junior or college? Maybe it's lower level junior. They help with placements. In 23-24, so not this past season, but the season before, they had 2 NCAA Div 1 placements, 4 NCAA Div 3, Tier 2 Junior 3, Tier 3 Junior 8, Prep. Also, if you're just AAA and Prep, they managed to get over 20 athletes into the levels they wanted there. So advising to help you pick the right level and help you find places where you can play at that level throughout North America, all part of the Stop It Goaltending You app. And as I mentioned every week, in addition to all these great services, you get what is, in our opinion, the best advice on goaltending, and that's from InGoal magazine, because we get it from the NHLers. You get a membership to InGoal Premium with every Stop It Goaltending You app membership that you purchase. So best of both worlds in goaltending. Make sure you check it out today. And if you're thinking about what your future looks like, hit them up, because their advising staff will help you get not just a realistic idea of where you might be able to play, but help you find a place to play it.
I used it, and it was incredibly helpful. The advisory.
They told me that I should be playing low level beer league, and they were right.
I've never enjoyed pickleball more.
They will not do that to your sons and daughters, folks. Just to Darren. I mean, just to Marin and Woody.
What do you got?
So you know I'm a fence sitter, so I'm going to come back around on this one, but I'm going to give you the jaw-dropping part just to start, boys. Here's the question. Woody, you ready for this one too?
I'm making notes. Yep.
This was online, not straight to InGoal. Who else has created a sign language to help out your tendy so you don't have to be that parent yelling through the 1/4-inch gap in the glass?
What?
Ooh. You can probably hear through the awkward silence that we know how. I don't want to condemn anyone. That's a tough look. Like, so basically you're communicating with you're trying to help them. So I get where the thought process comes, but man, do we not create any independence if we're trying to tell them how to, like, I don't even know what that is. Like, stay up, go down, play more aggressive. Like, I don't even know what.
Yeah, they gave examples.
Lots of people do that, like stay up motion, stay up, or get out.
Look, they gave examples, and I get it, and I won't get into the specific examples. I have to say, the first time I heard this, like you, Woody, like, I didn't even know what to say. And I agree with everything you just said, Woody, and at some point you have to cut the cord. My first reaction to it, honestly, was go take one of the coaching courses and volunteer, and then you can go help your kid, but don't do it from the stands. But as always, I get a little too upset, maybe just like you a little bit, Woody, too. You're not quite nearly as composed as Marin is. But I got a little too upset too, and then I kept reading. And he said, I am a team coach, and I'm acting as the team's goalie coach as well. So, you sort of got me with the 1/4-inch gap in the glass. And I pictured the guy standing there screaming at his kid. And instead, I want to be silent so nobody knows I'm screaming at my kid. But he is actually the goalie coach on the team. And now I'm like, okay, not quite as bad, because there are head coaches on the bench screaming at the players on the ice all the time. Finish your check, get in on the forecheck, work harder, like whatever it might be. There are coaches coaching the players all the time, and the poor goaltender is out there on his own with no support. So I get the desire of this parent to have some ways to convey some information to the goalie on the ice. I kind of get it. So just a couple things I would say. What's the point where you're going to cut the cord? Because I guarantee Ian Clark or whatever NHL goalie coach you want to talk about is not flashing hand signals to their goaltender on the ice. They have to eventually develop the maturity to handle the period on their own. Talk to them between periods. So what's that point that you're going to do that? I kind of think it's okay once you're the coach on the ice, but what I didn't want is for parents to read this, because there were a lot of parents in the comments. Oh, I do that. Oh, here's our signals. Here's what we do. Don't be the parent doing that from the stands. because I don't see how that helps. You don't want your child thinking I need to check in with you after every shot, after whatever, even though this guy actually specifically mentioned it's only after the puck leaves the zone that they have any communication. Again, I will say, if you're that parent in the stands feeling you need to do this, volunteer, take a course, get out there and help your kid. If you don't think you're qualified to do that, then you probably aren't qualified to be sending hand signals. And if the team isn't asking you for help, it's either because they have it already, in which case, butt out. I had to learn to do that at one point and just let my son work with his goalie coach, even though we've got a great partnership together. And if the team won't accept your help and they don't have goalie development, now maybe we have a problem that could be the subject of another parent segment soon. How do you talk to the coach if they don't have good development for your goalie? But don't be the parent in the stands yelling at your kid what to do. You're only going to distract them. Don't be the parents hand signaling from the crowd. You're only going to distract them. But if you're the goalie coach, it's maybe not as bad as it seemed originally. That's my piece, boys.
See that? I feel like I was robbed of the context to overreact.
Well, I wanted you
tried to get angry, Woody, but I was calm.
But it's
Look at
clickbait.
you.
It's
Look at
clickbait,
you.
right?
Yeah, it is clickbait. You almost got me. But I'd also ask, like, why can't you be on the bench if you're the goalie coach? I'd point to the Alex. Maybe there's a limit. Maybe there's rules. I get that.
Oh, I just assumed
but
he
I
was
point-
on the bench, actually. I just assumed he was on the bench and during play, like
Doing
on
some
the
coaching.
players, as you know, Alex Aldous told you before, right? That example of rotating goaltenders during the game so they can have some coaching. The players get to come back after the shift, and coaches should be having a word with those players, giving them some feedback.
And that was where I was going to take this. If you really want to give a goalie feedback, and again, this depends on the level, and some associations just hate it. Some goalies just hate it. Some goalie parents, definitely, they probably all hate it. But man, the example we had with Alex Ald, where he was on the bench as an assistant coach, and the goalie switched in between periods, and so the kid that came to the bench was getting coaching from a goalie coach.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
It doesn't have to be an NHLer, man. If you've taken the course and like this gentleman is the goalie coach, a gentleman, woman is the goalie coach, and has some good advice to give them, what better time than to give them in game and to do it, to them personally, and then they get to go back and apply it when they switch again in the next period, as opposed to distractions looking at the bench trying to, So I actually kind of applauded at some levels. I'm just like, do we really need to be that nefarious about it? Couldn't we create a system where, we actually can communicate in person with the young goaltender? And again,
Well,
ages and all these things.
You'll get into another long debate with a lot of parents over that, how we share the ice scenario. And while you've got a great point there, Woody, you've got the other camp that thinks it's essential that their kids play full games. Some that think that it's okay to switch games, or partway through a game, but what is the age? And then, of course, we've got this Alex Ald example, which is the extreme one. But you really get them all lined up in different camps for different reasons that aren't related to what you're talking about. As much as I really applaud that one, especially for the youngest goalies.
Yeah, youngest, and like I said, I caveated the age, but if it's a young goalie, if we're talking like 12 and under, and you want to be a parent that takes that tact that your kid at 11 years old needs to have the whole game, I would just tell you what other sports bodies, how they view that. And it's a strong two-phrase word, but other governing bodies for sports see that as literally child abuse, to have a kid come to a game and sit on a bench for 60 minutes at that age. That's the exact phrasing they use. So just put that in the back of your mind next time. Because I know
Different parent segment. Let's not go too deep on this one, Woody. We can bring this one up again soon.
Yeah, okay. Zip. Angry Woody, settle down.
If you have
Can
any
I just
thoughts,
jump in on that?
please do.
Yeah.
Not too far though, Marin.
Think about this. As an adult, you're going to your game and you're going to have to back up at your Thursday night league game.
Oh yeah.
No chance.
No chance.
No chance as an adult you're going to do that. So why do we make our kids do it?
Yeah, that's a great. That's
an
an answer right there.
And what would the adult say? Well, it's no fun. Well, guess what? At that age, it's still supposed to be fun.
It's
Right.
less fun at that age, even.
So if you as an adult are saying, I'm not wasting my time by going and backing up and not playing at all, why would we make our 11-year-old do it? Or 12-year-old do it?
We'll come back to this one soon. We'll let you
All right.
dive in because I love that answer.
That's just the best way that I can.
I think we definitely need to dig back in on that one, Hutch? Like
We
that's
will.
another
Okay,
parent
so here-
segment. My
here we go.
apologies.
If-
My apologies for stealing it.
If you have any comments on hand signals to your goalie, parents@ingoalmag.com. If you're the parent who posted that question, I hope you understand that I kind of get you doing it as a goalie coach. But
As do I.
you can hit me up if you want to. And if you have comments on whether your kids should play half games, full games, or just multiple shifts a period, parents@ingoalmag.com, because we will take some of those answers as we let Woody and Darren have a further rant in a coming episode.
Woody's
Well,
good.
Darren and I
Jump
may
back
have
in.
railroaded this conversation, but Darren, we use hand signals in beer league too. My players are constantly looking back at me with their arms
Yeah.
raised like a WTF moment.
And then you're like this.
I can't within a glove, but inside my glove, I'm definitely
All you see
flipping
is the
the little
blocker.
bird.
I love it when the defenseman looks at me and goes, how'd that go in?
And I say, I don't know. You tell me.
Uh,
You think I'm actually watching the puck
All
back
I
here?
saw
Come
was
on.
your butt. I don't know.
Congratulations to Dustin Wolf, a finalist for the Calder Trophy for NHL Rookie of the Year. And he's my new favorite goaltender as of this year to watch in the National Hockey League. I will watch a Flames game, even if there's nothing else or reasoning. If we're not playing Calgary coming up, or just if he's playing, I will stick with that game because I'm
You're a
just
fan.
fascinated by how he plays the game. And there's another guy on the horizon who plays in an almost identical style, and I get to watch him all the time, and sometimes really closely on the ice. And with him is Carl Lindbom of the Vegas Golden Knights, playing with the Henderson Silver Knights of the American Hockey League. Same size, same build, same style, same quickness, same approach. It's beautiful to watch.
I know where you're going with that one, Darren. But before we let Woody dive into the feature interview, let's just talk a little bit about Sense Arena, because Sense Arena are the folks that brought us this interview with Carl Lindbom, and they've got some really cool stuff going on now. I mentioned before that they have this 3-on-3 full ice competition available in the headset now, celebrating the Stanley Cup playoffs. And now that we're on to round 2 of the playoffs, they've actually done some cool stuff. They've updated the playoff bracket, so you can actually play the matchups that are on right now. Darren can actually get in net for the Vegas Golden Knights in his headset and take on the Oilers himself. They've made the opponents smarter. They've raised the intensity of the AI because they know the playoff pressure is mounting as well. So they've done that in the game experience. So you're getting full ice showdowns 3-on-3 now. You can follow your team if you want. You can follow another team if you want. The matchups are unlocking in real time here. You can be a player or a skater, which is kind of cool. All you need is the controllers. And here's another one they've added in: voice activated passing. So you can actually call for passes when you're on the ice. Yeah, pretty sweet. The puck is a little bit more sticky, and you got speed boosts and things so that you can really skate through those players like your Connor McDavid. And yeah, it's really, really cool what they're doing with it. One of the things I love about NHL Sense Arena, it is an incredible off-ice training tool for goaltenders. You can get that practice as a goaltender, even when you can't get on the ice, all summer long. Woody can do it in his beach shorts on the surfboard in Hawaii if he wants. It's a great training tool for goaltenders in all respects, but then they add in all this really cool, really fun stuff like the NHL playoff 3-on-3 mode. So get in your headset, give it a go, head over to sensearena.com, and as always, use the code IGM50 to save even more.
I got a little extra on Sense Arena for this week because I got to tease it. It's coming soon. It's been soft launch. We've gotten a preview of it. As exciting and as fun as what they're doing with 3-on-3 is, I love the fact that they're adding a game element to it, because as we just talked about with goalies being left on the bench, it's supposed to be fun, right? So they've made sure of that, but they are ramping up the development side. working with their partners on the goalie for a goalie advancement program that will be out soon. Like I said, soft launch now for people like us to sort of get through it and check it. But it's going to be comprehensive training program with 8 levels from basic to advanced. Each level is going to have 3 training days, and it's going to do progressions of skill development, daily training sessions, 6 to 8 drills. In other words, it's goalie school in your VR headset. And they've got a couple of different releases coming out this summer. The first one will come out. We'll have, different elements like angles, practice reading a release, learning to locate pucks through traffic. So this is taking it on the coaching side to another level. Like, not just go in and have fun and train your eyes and track, but if you want to sort of look at a development with progressive drills, Sense Arena is bringing that to you. So look for that this summer. And it's one of the exciting things we love about this product. It's constantly developing and getting better. You don't just buy the version now. It's constantly being upgraded and updated. So exciting times coming. Exciting times, as Hutch said, now at Sense Arena, and even more in the near future. Perfect for your summer off-season training.
Carl Lindbom, how much did you know about him before you talked to him, and what did you learn from him?
I did not know a bunch other than your sort of how excited you were about him as a prospect. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he had great results. I heard a little bit about his game and the reactive elements to it. Obviously, at 6'1", this is not your prototypical, quote, I even hate to say this, but quote unquote Swedish, like this is not your 6'5" Swedish goaltender. So I knew there had to be different elements to his game to have success like he is in his first year in the American Hockey League. And so I'd also heard and watched some interviews that he seemed like a guy who really dug the position, like dug into the position and was and loved all the different elements of it, from equipment to. So we just got into it. We geeked out. Goalie geeking on everything. He had some great answers on practice habits and how to develop active, strong hands, which are crucial to his success at 6'1". So it's there's lots in here, lots of takeaways, more than I expected, to be honest, because I went in without many expectations, and he was great.
NHL Sense Arena feature interview on InGoalMag.com, brought to you by NHL Sense Arena.
Really excited to welcome to the InGoal Radio podcast, first-time guest, hopefully first of many, Carl Lindbom of the Vegas Golden Knights, Henderson Silver Knights, first-year pro in North America, and the adjustment can be big for guys, but it looked like you made it pretty easy. So let's just start off with thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
What does the summer look like for you? Henderson's season is over. Vegas is still going. Is there sort of an informal Black Aces proponent to this right now? You still skating?
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to be Black Acing for as long as they need us to, and then head home for the summer and just train, go on the ice a little bit, and we'll go from there.
Does Freddie still, old friend of InGoal, multiple-time featured guest, Freddie Brathwaite, does he still, do you still work on things in these moments? Or are you, there's times when as a goalie, you're just sort of there to be a target, and there's times when you're working on your game. How does this time of the year look for that?
Yeah, that's right. So we work on a little bit of things. Right now, it's usually just mostly shots, right? We have like 7-8 guys come in taking shots on me and stuff, so we don't really have that much time to work on stuff that we want to work on, right? But between every whistle and stuff like that, he comes to me and we have a little chat. So
those types of situations, a lot of practice for goalies. As much as we would like practice to be about us, the reality, even at the professional level, is it's not always about that. So I'm curious what you've learned over the years, maybe some advice you could pass on to the kids listening and parents, how to approach those situations where, sometimes the shots are maybe not what you're going to see in a game. They're not reflective of your game. How do you find ways to get better in environments that are tough for goaltenders?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what I think about, as you said, like practice is mainly for the players, right? To get touches, practice shots and stuff, but it's also great practice for goalies, right? Because every shot is usually a really good opportunity in a game. So take every shot, focus on every shot. I would say for the young guys, try and have fun with it, right? And also, as I said, take every shot for what it is a great opportunity to get better, to get better eye to eye, to see the puck better and stuff like that. So I really try to focus on practice. Practice is a big thing for me, for sure.
So take the positives. Like sometimes guys get looks that they won't ever get in a game, and they're just, time and space and bar down and all those kind of things. Sounds like you approach that as hey, hey, this is a positive challenge as opposed to don't let yourself get frustrated by it.
Exactly. It's easy to get frustrated when the opportunities are so good. It's like 3-on-0, pass, pass, pass. But it's still a good opportunity to practice, right? It's like you never know when in a game you're going to get a 2-on-0 on you, and there's going to be a pass east-west and then another pass. So if you practice those situations, you're good on your edges because you practice those situations. That's just going to help you out. So I think it's a good thing.
Patience, edges, things like that, a chance to work on all those things. When you say edge work, we hear that a lot, right? Like it's so important. The game's east-west and dynamic, holding edges, patience on them. When you say edge work, what does it mean to you?
For me, edge work is having the ability to move whenever, wherever. So it's like, no matter what happens, where the puck is, if the puck's on a stick, if the puck is moving, you always have an opportunity to move because your edges are dug into the ice, or you have good edge work, you have good power on your edges, right? So that's what it kind of means to me, to like, as I said, be ready to move at all times. Even if there's a shot opportunity, you got to have your edge in the ice so you have the opportunity to push to the next opportunity or to the next pass.
I love it because I love that answer because we hear that all the time, right? Hey, I'm working on my edge work, but what does that look like? For some guys, it's skating on their knees. For some guys, it's patience on their feet. But I love that answer in terms of just having edges. This year, was the adjustment like? A lot of time in Sweden where there can be a little more time and space, a lot of passing. You talk about 3-on-0s, pass. Everything's direct here. What was the biggest adjustment for you? Smaller rink. Everything seems to funnel towards the net, especially in the American League. How hard was that for you to get used to? Because the results look like it wasn't, but I'm guessing there was a process there.
Well, there was a process. Yeah, you're right about that. Like it was faster than I thought for sure. But I have played some tournaments over here on the smaller ice, so that kind of gave me a little bit of a head start.
Right.
But as you said, yeah, just everything's towards the net. Everything seems a little bit faster. Over there in Europe, it's like you're kind of a little bit deeper in your net because the pass from east-west is so much further than over here, right? So you give yourself a little bit of time to stay deeper in the net. But over here, it's more take space. You take space. It's shooter on goalie. It's not as many passes east-west, I would say. And just the traffic. The traffic is a lot more over here, I'd say, because it's, again, the rink is tighter, so more bodies to the net for sure.
I hear that a lot, especially at the NHL level. One of the biggest adjustments for young goaltenders is not just the amount of traffic, but the intensity and the purposefulness of it. So how, at the American League level, working with Freddie and sort of getting your reads and understanding how it works, and do you keep an eye on the NHL level? How have you learned to manage what is such a tough part of the game in terms of traffic and bodies to net?
Yeah, I think it's a really fun part of the game because it's actually, you can be really strategic of it. It's not easy to see the puck, right? And especially if you're not 6'6" or 6'5", you can see over top of guys. You got to be strategic, so you got to pick a side of a guy. So you look on the side. So if it's a lefty, you look on the short side. If there's a righty, you look on the other side, on the short side. So it's a lot of components, and it's a really fun part of the game because you can be really strategic about it. And some goalies and some coaches just say, "Oh, you couldn't see the puck. What can you do?" It's like, well, there's pretty much always a way to see the puck in some way, right? So it's kind of a fun part of the game for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that answer because it's you're right, and I'm curious how you process that. Do you do a lot of video on that to look for those examples rather than just saying, hey, I couldn't see it? And sometimes there's so many layers of traffic you can't.
Yeah.
But do you do a lot of video review on, hey, if I had switched at this side from short side to far side, maybe I see it. Or if I look over this part of the shoulder instead of by his ear, maybe I can see it longer. How do you get better at it?
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say it's the first thing you said, like switching sides, just keep your eye on the puck on one side as long as you can. And if you can't anymore, there's no shot, then you switch sides. You see a lot of goalies that go like this and they can't see anything, right?
Back and forth,
they go back and forth, side to side, they can't see anything. But if you stick to one side and he's a shooter and he's going to shoot the puck, you can't see anything, okay, then you switch. yeah, we do watch a lot of video on that, and we try. Okay, how could we see this one, or how do we process this? And sure, if there's 4 layers of bodies, sometimes you can't see it.
Well, and it's systems too, right? Like I think a lot of people don't understand. Like there's a lane your guys are supposed to be in. When you're picking
Yeah.
a side, system says they're supposed to be in a certain lane, but like everything,
Yeah.
it's not always perfect.
Exactly, right. And another funny thing is, if you're looking one side and you can't see the puck because there's a body there, the puck or the shooter can't see the net, right? So if I can't see the puck and I'm all the way to the right, the puck can't see the net. So I might as well push into the left side and make myself big, because the guy screening me is already covering that part of the net. So it's really strategic. That's why I say that, because it's really strategic. It's a big part of the game for sure.
Well, it's a chess match, except it's happening at 100 miles an hour out there.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask now, I'm going to rewind this a little bit and take you way, way back, because you clearly, like, there's a passion for the game that you have, passion for goaltending. Let me ask where it started. There's usually one of two ways. It's usually gear or siblings.
Well, it's both. So
Okay.
yeah, great question. So my brother is a goalie too. He's still a goalie. And I thought the gear was really cool. I thought he was cool, so I just started.
Nice. It's as an older brother myself, my younger brother rarely calls me cool, so he must love hearing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sure.
He's still playing overseas?
Yes, he is. So he was drafted. He was drafted by Rangers. Spent some time in the AHL and East Coast, and now he's playing in Finland. So he's still going, and he's playing overseas.
Well, my apologies for not knowing that in advance.
No, it's all good.
As the goalie guy, I should have known that. So he's been through this before. The process of coming over, the process of a new goaltending coach, different voices. How much did you lean on him when you were coming over?
Yeah, no, I asked him a lot of questions, and he helped me a lot. And mainly about just practical things, right? With moving over here, just everything. It's just a whole new continent, right? Moving so far away, just practical stuff. He helped me out a lot with that for sure.
We forget about how much work it is off the ice. You're in a new country. I wouldn't be able to, I've been to Stockholm once for the Canucks training camp in 2000.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a beautiful city. Also might have been the most expensive food I've ever eaten in my life, but it was worth it. I couldn't imagine trying to come to a completely, even though everybody there spoke English, it's a lot for you guys. How important is that to get a handle on the off ice stuff so that you can succeed when you're at the rink and on the ice?
No, it's huge. Like, obviously you come to camp in September, and you don't have a housing letter or an availability to get an apartment maybe 2 months from there. So at that time, you're just hanging out in a hotel, and then it's like, okay, you have 2 weeks to get an apartment. It's like, okay, first of all, how do I get an apartment? Second of all, like with gas, energy, furniture, everything like that, right? So it's how do I pay for this? I don't have a bank over here, bank stuff, everything, right? So yeah, it's actually huge, and it's a big process.
I was going to say the logistics of it, and I mean, you're trying to focus on your game. You're adapting to a new league. That's an extra challenge. I don't think enough people realize how much of a challenge that is. So it's great you had your brother helping you. What about on the ice? How much of an influence was he? Who were your early influences? We hear a lot, and I know Thomas Magnusson really well with the Swedish Ice Hockey Federation, and love every time we get to talk to him. We hear a lot about the goalie coaching and how much access you have to it over there. When did it start for you?
Well, it obviously started with my brother. He got me into hockey. As younger kids, we competed in everything. So he kind of taught me that competitive mindset, or we taught each other that, I guess. And then when I got older, I had some great goalie coaches, man. I had Mikael Jedén, I had Fredrik Mikko, I had Maciej Swarsz. I had so many good goalie coaches, and I got to thank them a lot, because obviously I said I like practice, and we practice a lot. And we look at video and stuff like that. So yeah.
Maciej is a guy that we've had on the podcast as well, and I've met him before, so that's a small world. The goaltending world is small.
Cool.
How would you, I probably should ask this off the top, but when you look at those different influences, how would you describe your style, your strengths?
I would describe my strength. I'm my strength is probably eye to eye shots. So that would be, I guess, reflexes and hands.
Okay.
And also reading the game has been huge for me, right? Since I'm a little bit smaller, I have to be a little bit quicker, and I have to be a little bit ahead, a step ahead, and try to read the game. So I'd say those.
Okay, so yeah, from a goaltending coach perspective, we hear a lot about some of the influences over there being, and I don't want to, this shouldn't sound like a negative stereotype, but very, very technical, like giving you that foundation of positioning and tactics and technique. Reads are a skill for some people, sometimes innate, sometimes learned. How did you, and how would you advise other kids? How do you get better at reading the game?
I think you just got to put yourself in situations.
Okay.
I think you gotta practice a lot, and you gotta play games. So a good thing I thought about, I had a goalie coach tell me this, that I want to see you look up ice even when the guy has a puck on his stick. Sometimes when you have the chance, look up ice. If the guy's behind the net, or if he's coming in, he's not a threat, he's got the puck on his backhand or something, look up ice, scan the ice. So I guess that's a big thing. Just learn how to scan the ice. When you recognize that he's not a threat, scan the ice and see what's going on.
So looking off the puck and knowing when to look off the puck. At what age did that become crucial for you? It's funny because I see it in the NHL. I'll see playing partners, and one guy will look off the puck 20 times when it's in the zone. The other guy will look off twice, and it's usually not hard to find the one who's better at reading the game. Yeah,
exactly. I think when I was 14, 15, when the game started to get a little bit quicker, where you really had to, I think that was big. And it's interesting, right? There's no right or wrong way with how many times you're looking, right? As long as you have an idea of what's going on. Sure, you don't need to look 20 times when the guy's got the puck on his backhand, but when he comes up and he's looking for a pass option, you have to know what's going on, right?
Yep. What are, like, when you, and this is a great one for kids, so I'm going to pick at it a little bit, Carl. When you do a quick scan, what information you're looking for, where they are, what are the first other pieces of information that you're trying to gather, and how do they affect how you might play that guy if there's a pass to him?
First thing I'm looking at is obviously how many they are, where they're at, and are they a righty or they're a lefty? Because if the puck's on my left side and there's a righty coming in to my right, I know that he's going to be a one-timer. And if there's a lefty coming in, he's going to have to receive that puck and then shoot. Then I know if there's a righty, I have to get over quick. And if there's a lefty, I can kind of take my time a little bit, and he might even pass it back. Because a righty, I don't think he's going to pass that puck back. If he's wide open, he gets a one-timer, he's going to shoot.
Right. So perfect. That's great. And we do a lot of that with the ProReads. We get a lot of that video with guys explaining that. But I think it's so crucial at a young age for goalies to, not get puck focused.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
What were some of the, like, your time in Djurgården and coming up through the ranks, some of the different influences? Who'd you look up to?
Yeah, good question. In that organization, I had a lot of work done with Mikael Jedin. He was with us when we were younger, and then when I got up to the men's team, I was with Frederick Mikko, and we got along really, really, really well. Like we're in contact often, even now. He sends me video. In the summers, I work with him. So yeah, we had a great time. So my first pro season was with Djurgården in the Swedish second league, and we figured it out. Like that was a huge step for me to get better, I think.
And that was your breakout year in the Allsvenskan.
Yes.
When you say we figured it out, are you comfortable explaining sort of what it was that clicked?
Sure. Yeah. So I think for me, it was just realizing what I'm good at. So for me, it was like, we practice a lot of what you said, right? Really technical in Sweden and trying to be big, cut off angles and stuff. Sure, that's great. But if my hands are great, if my reflexes are good, I got to play for that. And if I have good edge work and I'm quick side to side and I have good awareness off the puck, I got to play to those strengths. I can't be this big, blocky goaltender that's just not me, right? So I got to play it to my strength.
When you talk about hands and keeping them active, it's so funny because it cliche, again, stereotype, not fair, but like we tend to think of Finns, right? We tend to think of Finnish
Sure.
goalies having these really active hands. What for you? Do you have little takeaways, little keys on hand position that, hey, I know if my hands are here, they're relaxed and they'll just react? Do you have any little things that you try and focus on to keep your hands active, to not lose them when you're moving or lock the elbows in too much?
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great question. And still, I think like every pro is still thinking about that. It's like, I don't think you can really ever get your ideal hand position. Like in practice, right? If you let in a lot of pucks, you're going to be like, damn, okay, maybe do something different. Lower the hands, loosen the hands, get a little bit higher glove, lower blocker, anything, right? So for me, it's basically been pretty far out and in the middle, so I can react. I know that I'm not guessing, and I'm trusting my eyes. I'm trusting my read. So I'm starting in the middle. If he goes low, I'm trying to get to low. If he shoots high, I'm trying to get high, right?
Out in front of you. But even that can, if you get too carried away, right? It's like anything, like
Yeah.
golf, right? Like I get a tip at golf, I got to flatten my swing, and 2 weeks later, my swing is like down at my waist. It's so flat. You can
exactly.
you can overdo anything, right? So is it a fine line between sticking your hands straight out and adding tension? You said they got to keep them relaxed, right? Like if they get too far out, they can get tension in the muscles.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You can't be too far out, but you also can't play by your body, right? So it's just
Right.
one of those things you got to find what works best for you.
Is relaxed a key word when you talk? You mentioned sort of that relaxed hands, that part of it.
I think so. I would like to think so. Sometimes you can be a little bit tensed up. I don't know, on the blocker side, if you're a little bit tense on the blocker side, you can still get away with it, I think. But on the glove side, if you're tense, there's just no feeling.
Right.
Like you have to glove the puck. You can't just be the frying pan and just let it hit your glove. You got to catch the puck, right? So you can't be too tense there, I don't think.
No, absolutely. Frying pan and not catching the puck is how you end up like me in beer league, where they say I have 2 blockers on. It's embarrassing. But how'd you get like good hands, goaltending, but also other sports? Like, did you play other sports? We have NHL goalie coaches that'll be like, hey, go throw and catch a baseball, but that wouldn't be instinctual, wouldn't be something you would have done growing up in Sweden, I don't think.
No, exactly. Yeah. We don't have baseball here in Sweden, not much. So when I was younger, not really. I just played hockey. I did play a lot of sport. I did play hockey. I played soccer. I was in track and field, and I was also table tennis. I was only table tennis for a year, but that was actually great. That was great for goaltending because you're moving so fast. Great for reflexes. So table tennis and tennis is something that you should probably try to do during summers because it's great for reflexes and hand-eye.
Okay, so you played table tennis at a competitive level for a year? Is that what you're telling me?
No, not at all. Just when I was a kid, when I was little.
You just okay. Because I was gonna say, like, I know a lot of NHL, like a lot of hockey teams have table tennis, like, you know, just for guys competing. If you're like a ringer, I think we shouldn't let that secret out, right? We should let you stay like quiet shark out there.
No, just as a kid, no, nothing professional.
Do you still play tennis? Because one of my favorite off-season activities for a goalie, when people ask me, goes back to advice we got from Henrik Lundqvist, and that was tennis. Because you're moving your feet, you're moving laterally, and you're still using your hands and your eyes.
Yeah. I try to play a little bit during the summers. I actually haven't played a lot. Here in Vegas, we have a tennis court just outside our complex here, so we played a little bit, and it's really fun. Not only is it good for you, it's so fun.
Well, I'm guessing it probably gets a little hot in the summer there too for outdoor tennis.
Yeah, sure, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do to keep, hands are a big part of your game. What do you do to get them warm? What do you do to keep them sharp? Are you juggling? What are different drills that you do that maybe a kid can listen to and be like, hey, I want to have better hands. Carl said do this.
Well, I don't really do a lot off the ice for my hands.
Okay.
But I do really focus on the ice. As I said, if there's an eye-to-eye shot, sometimes you can get frustrated because it's a great opportunity, right? It's a great opportunity for you to practice your hands. Just try and not guess. Don't guess. just see where the puck is going and try to improve your hands and your speed.
I love that. I think that's great advice too for, like we said, we were talking earlier about the drills where goalies can get frustrated and feel like they don't have a chance. So just drill down on it. Is there anybody you watch? Was there a guy you watched in the NHL or in the SHL growing up that was like somebody you aspired to be? I know you had your big brother, so maybe you just tried to play like him, but was there somebody you modeled your game after in the early years or just enjoyed watching?
So when I was little, for sure, Hank, just like he was so big. Oh, wow. I didn't even see that. Yeah.
See, I should have.
Yeah.
That's because when I do Hockey Canada stuff, I got to hide the Lundqvist jersey in the middle.
Okay.
So he's back there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So Hank was a big one when I was really young. And then when I got up to maybe 12, 13, Price was the other one. So yes, so that's actually pretty funny that you have those behind you. But yeah, Price was huge. He was the one that I tried to model my game after. So when I was 12, 13, I was like, okay, so I have to, because you're young, right? You don't try to play like, you want to look like another guy. You want to be another guy, but you don't necessarily try to model your game.
Right.
But Price, I really did when I got up to 12, 13, 14.
Okay, so when you looked at Carey, and we've had we've been blessed to be on the ice with him, actually teaching young kids over past summers. What'd you look for? Like, what was it about his game that you were trying to mimic? Was it the skating, the patience, a lot of things that you tell me are parts of your game?
Yeah, skating and patience for sure, as you said. Just his skating, he's just so smooth, and also you can almost see when he's playing that he's got so much talent, right? He's got so much feel, and just his glove precision. I try to mimic everything, honestly. But like the one big thing I'd say was that he was just really smooth.
That's pretty much the perfect description of Carey, right? Smooth.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you watch now? Like do you watch a lot of hockey still now that you're in it, other than the scouting work and the video work? Do you watch a lot of hockey, other teams, NHL? Are there goalies that you're like, hey, do you watch UC Saros more carefully because you're not the biggest goaltender, or a Dustin Wolf? Who do you love to watch?
Exactly. Yeah. I do watch a lot of hockey, mainly now in the playoffs. I love watching the playoff hockey. Not so much during the regular season.
You're too busy.
Yeah, right. But if there's a game on, I'll throw the game on. It's not a big deal, right? But it's funny you ask that, because I do like watching UC. I do like watching him because he's smaller, right? Kind of like me. He's got unreal skating. He's so quick. He reads the game well. Another guy that I think is sneaky, really, really good is Casey Smith. I've been watching a lot of him lately, and I think he's gotten so much better in just 2 years. I don't know how, but before he was great, but now he's so fun to watch, I think.
He's so much faster than people who aren't goalies realize.
Yeah.
I had he was in I got to know and cover Casey last year here in Vancouver, obviously, and watch him work. And he definitely cleaned up some of his post-play stuff, spending a year with Clark, got a little tighter in that. But I remember the goalies from Montreal coming in, and he was in Montreal for a month before he got traded to Vancouver. And I got to see him more. And they said they couldn't believe in the summer skates in August leading up to training camp how fast he was.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. And not only is he fast and a great skater, he's smart too. Like when you watch him, you can see that he's really smart with his decisions and his depth, and he knows when to take space. He knows when to sit a little deeper. He's just so fun to watch. I love watching him.
He's aggressive. You're right. There's times where he's more aggressive than a lot of goalies would be, but to your point, it seems to be the right moments he picks to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you said you were a gear guy, and we'll wind this down a little bit because I'm close to half an hour of your time, and I thank you very much for it. But are you still a gear guy? Like just like when you got into it and your brother and you love the gear, but like, are you a guy who studies it, knows it, or just finds something comfortable and wear it? How much do you get into it?
Not that much, honestly, but I know what works for me, and I know what I like. I know what's a nice feeling for me, for gloves, pads, skates, stuff like that. So I'd say I like the stuff. I think the new stuff is really cool. But for me, it's just about finding something that's comfortable for me, I think.
As a guy who's, you talk about skating and reacting in that element, I'm guessing you prefer a softer pad. Like, you're probably not a guy who likes a super stiff pad.
Yeah, I am a softer pad. Funny thing, I like. So we're getting really nerdy here, which I like.
Hey, this is what we like.
Okay, good. So
get nerd out.
Yeah. So by the post, I don't do skate on post. I do toe box on the post. So I do that little gap, right?
Yep.
To get a good push, I have to have a stiff boot. Because if you have a soft boot, that's just gonna.
All your power disappears into the flex.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
So I have a stiff boot, and the top of the pad, my pad is a little bit softer. It's still pretty stiff.
Okay.
But it's not soft, and it's not a board like a Bobrovsky.
Gotcha. Okay, so toe laces. I'm guessing skate lace guy, because the one thing for a while there for kids, it was all about the bungees. But again, if you're toe box on post, you lose power when you have a bungee pushing off it.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I'm a skate lace guy, and I've always been like this big skate lace guy. So I have a lot of space to work with.
Do you know it's the same every time? Like, are you counting knots? Do you have a pre-measurement that you do where it's the same all the time?
I am counting knots, but sometimes I feel like it's not matching up. So I'm like, I do 10 knots, but sometimes it's a little bit short, sometimes a little bit long. So I guess it's just a feel thing, I guess.
Okay, so no formula. We actually have a formula on the website that we got from Thatcher Demko that was like 2/3 the diameter of a post, and we had to do math, Carl. I haven't done math in a while, but the idea being that you want to have that flex. So
I like that.
Hey, listen, Johan Hedberg once called me a goalie geek, and he said it was a compliment. So we'll geek out here, man.
Okay, cool.
Glove break, 590, 600, 580. What are you?
I'm a 590.
Okay.
I've been for 4 years. 4 years, I think I've been, and I love it. I love it. I think it's big when I need it to be. When they're in tight, I can kind of go frying pan. It's really big, and I'm also have a good feel with it. So I couldn't imagine doing another break. Not right now.
Puck handling too, pretty good. Like a lot of guys like the 580, the curl over by the ear, sort of where the pocket comes up, but a little tougher to grab the stick to puck handle. Where's your puck handle game?
As you said, I tried the 580 2 summers ago, I think.
Yeah.
And that was just really nice on my stick, right? It's great to handle the puck with, but I feel like when you have your glove for a long time and it gets a little bit softer, it fits on your stick a lot better. So I don't see really a big problem with that.
Okay, last one. What does your summer look like for skating? Like, once you're done in Vegas and Henderson, do you take a break? Do you need to get away from the game? And then when do you start working out and gearing back up for next year?
It's a good question. I think so it depends on when I get home, right? I usually take a couple weeks off, maybe from the ice, maybe a month. It all depends on how the summer's looking like and how long I stay here. But I like to skate during the summers. I do like to skate. I do like to work on my game, and I feel like you can get a lot of things done in the gym too. But I think the really goalie specific stuff on the ice, you can only get on the ice. So I like to do that.
Okay, so skating, you're dialing in on your details. It's not just out there taking shots. Does your brother join you at that? Like, is your guys' game similar?
I'd say it is. Last summer, he spent it kind of. It was a 4-hour drive from Stockholm. He was with his girlfriend, so we didn't skate. But usually, we're with a bigger group of guys, and we have a goalie coach there, so we can work on some stuff.
That's what lets us goalies get ahead of the shooters. It's all that extra work you guys put in.
Exactly. Yes.
Carl, this has been fantastic. I really enjoy it. I appreciate you geeking out.
Yeah, I appreciate being on. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Real pleasure. And like I said, I think given what you told me about the way you read and way you anticipate, you're going to love the ProReads over at InGoal Mag, because we've got like 9-minute videos on how to manage screens with NHL guys. So you're going to love that stuff. It sounds like it's right up your alley. I can't wait to share it with you.
Oh, great. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
He's just a cool goalie. And
he is.
be able to.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Cool in several different aspects. Cool as in calm and just patient, but cool as in how much he likes to dig into this stuff.
So we were on the ice together 10 days ago, maybe less than that. Anyway, he uses a CCM stick with the trigger finger, and I asked him what he likes most about it. He's like, try it. I'm like, no. I'm just curious why you use it or how you use it. And he said sometimes he uses his index finger. Sometimes he'll move down to use his middle finger, but most times it's the pointy finger, that the traditional way that you would use it. But he also said in shootouts, and this is where it went so deep into the weeds, he will grip the stick on the paddle way down low. All because on a shootout, the lower his hand is, it cuts off that area just above the pad and beside the pad. And it's an artificial way of doing the Bobrovsky kind of thing.
Well, but we've had that from Bob through Spencer Knight, talked about how where he holds it on that shaved off, steep shoulder paddle depends on the situation. And then Bob will grip down in certain situations, and so will Spencer. So that's really fascinating to hear.
Carl
that.
goes
And I
right
actually
down and holds it
deeply regret
around
not asking him.
the fat part of the paddle just on shootouts. And he tried it, and he stopped the first time he did it, and he stopped a puck because of it. He pointed up at Freddie Brathwaite, the Henderson goalie coach. It's like, and people were like, "Who's he pointing at?" It was Freddie because he did it. So there's a lot going on with Carl, but he's like, try this.
See,
try stick.
We love those guys that think the game at that level, and it was pretty clear in that conversation he's one of those guys.
Yeah. And he's just got cool style. I really dig being able to be on the ice a couple of times that I have been with him, to be able to watch him, because I'm not watching a 6'5" guy do it. I'm watching somebody that's closer to my own height and go, that's how he plays. It's just more relatable.
Love
He's
it. I
fascinating.
love it. And by the way, he thinks speaking of style, like he likes your gear style too. Your CCM Access 2 pads. He's loving the color scheme, the Vegas color scheme. So you did a nice job on the customizer.
Yeah, no better style than me, at least in equipment. I told you, people have said best gear in the AHL, but the execution of it needs a little bit of work. And look the part at times.
Look good, feel good, play good.
Look good, feel good, play good. Every now and then. Take away the middle. That's the strategy. Take away the middle. Every now and then you get it back. Now, keep an eye on Carl. Fantastic first year pro in North America. I played pro overseas. Got into it because of his brother. Just a fascinating story, and a goalie nerd like us.
Love it. Yeah, it was good. Can't wait to see. This is you bringing us, Darren. We talked about, remember a couple episodes ago about on the 300th about you discovering guys like Jeremy Swayman through the podcast. Well, this is us discovering Carl Lindbom through you and leading to a conversation, which I think everyone will have enjoyed.
And Carl scored a goal in Sweden.
Oh, now
Did
you're
not
killing me
know
because I
that.
should have been asking that question.
Yeah.
See, Woody's getting a failing grade.
No.
on today's
It's not.
episode.
It's not your fault. I didn't tell you. He can handle a puck, and he'll score a goal here. He either thought about it or took a shot. I can't remember the exact chain of events at the rookie tournament at the start of the year. His first game pro in North America, and he's at the rookie tournament, and he took a real look at it. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
wow, that's confidence with
That's a swagger we all hope to achieve.
all those scouts. And I just like that. I love that trigger finger grip. Again, nerd. Sorry. I apologize. Enjoy the continuation of round 2. Hutch,
We
you
will.
doing okay over there?
I'm awesome, buddy.
Okay. I just
Having a
worry
grand
about you
time.
sometimes because
Really?
you're a little bit older than Woody and I, and just want to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Oh, thank you. I had my oatmeal this morning, Darren. I'm feeling good.
You put honey in it or
So
brown
we've
sugar?
been talking for an hour. We preambled
brown
for half
sugar,
an
buddy.
hour. It
No
might be
brown
nap
sugar.
time. Might be nap time.
Chia seeds, flaxseed, no brown sugar.
No brown sugar. Is it true
Okay.
brown sugar is okay for you?
Cocoa powder. No, it's no different than any other sugar.
Darn it. Darn it.
And honey ain't much
have
better,
a great week,
folks.
you guys. Thanks to Cam, thanks to Carl, and thanks to you for listening. Keep those comments, keep those questions coming to us, and let us share in your journey of goaltending on InGoal Radio, the podcast.